Hey, what's up everybody? How's it going? How's everybody doing today? Welcome back. So for today we got a brand new Netflix movie and it's called The Red Sea Diving Resort. And considering the subject matter, as far as the cast is concerned, I really didn't think they needed really any high profile stars to be in it. Because reading the synopsis, I thought the story was interesting enough all by its own, just what with the subject matter at hand and the fact that it's based on a true story. But as it stands anyway, the movie did have an awesome cast, and I was particularly interested to see how Chris Evans was going to be in the movie. Mainly because he's just so deeply associated with being Captain America that it's really going to be interesting to see what he does with his career moving forward. And it's more so just a matter of how hard or how fast he decides to break away from that. But if this movie's any indication, it's clear that he's not trying to more so run away from the whole Captain America stigma. It's more so just kind of like veer off to the left or the right a little bit. Because if you told me that this was a story about a deep-powered Steve Rogers set on a rescue mission in Africa, I wouldn't say you were crazy. But the basic plot of the movie, it centers around Chris Evans, and he leads a merry band of secret Israeli agents. And essentially their mission is to smuggle as many Ethiopian Jews out of Sudan as humanly possible, and Chris Evans has been doing that for several months, but then there's a bit of a crackdown. So as a ruse, his government sets up a resort as kind of a front to help smuggle people out of the country. So they have to entertain this facade of keeping up appearances with tourists during the day, while at night they're sneaking people out on boats. And despite the fact that Chris Evans is incredibly derivative just with his character, he does it well, so I can't count that as a negative. And aside from him, I would just say that overall the acting performances were pretty good. Greg Kinnear's in the movie and he's really good, and Ben Kingsley's in the movie because he's Ben f***ing Kingsley. And Michael K. Williams from The Wire's in the movie, and he plays like kind of a middleman. He does a good job, as expected. And I would say the movie in and of itself is overall generally solid also. But at the same token, I'm really not over the moon about the movie because I didn't feel like the tone was as serious as the situation would have led you on to believe. And by that I mean the fact that the movie set up that there was a lot of lives at stake and a lot of people were kind of like in a very hostile area. And you saw examples of that visually, but for some reason I didn't have this kind of visceral sense that there was a serious element of danger as much as I should have. And one good example of that I could tell you was probably the movie Blood Diamond. Like, I could feel the fear on Djimon Hounsou's face when somebody was coming after him, you know? But in this movie, I didn't quite get that feeling of intensity, and it could have been something as simple as like, maybe it was the music or just maybe the characters. I don't know exactly. I can't really quite put my finger on it. Or it could be a little bit of column A, column B, and column C, because I thought the music was a little bit in your face here and there. And I said the acting wasn't bad, but nobody like acted their ass off either at the same time, you know? But the characters overall were pretty likable. I mean, they didn't really delve too far deep into any of the characters' personalities necessarily, but I didn't think that was necessary, because I think the movie is more so about just the moral decision to go to a very dangerous area to save people that you consider to be of some kinship to you. And I feel like the event is meant to be a little bit more important than any one person involved with it. It's about like a collective, if that makes any sense. One glaringly bad thing about the movie though, and it's only for like a couple of seconds, but I noticed it very quickly. There's a scene in the first half of the movie where people are walking and you can see a cityscape and there's smoke coming up from certain areas. If you look close enough, you'll see the smoke like pausing and moving as if there's missing frames somewhere in the green screen or whatever. And the movie's also got a weird structure, but it's based on a true story, so I didn't expect like a typical 3-act thing. And I thought the guy that played the main antagonist wasn't too bad, and they tried to do some stuff with Chris Evans as far as his character and his family relationship, and I thought that was alright. It was kind of middling, which isn't necessarily a bad thing, but it also could have been done better, you know? And that's kind of how I feel about the rest of the movie. Like, it's kind of middling, it could have been done better, but you know what? Overall, it was pretty decent. Not a bad experience, interesting story, so I think for a score out of 10, I think I'm gonna give it a straight 7.0. I'm still curious to see what Chris Evans will do moving forward. He hasn't let me down so far, but as far as this movie goes, not a bad way to spend 2 hours. Not a bad story. But anyway, guys, those are my thoughts. What are your thoughts? Have you seen this movie? Have you heard of it? Are you interested in it? Hop in the comments. Let me know what's up. Other than that, if you like this review, give me a like, subscribe, share, hit the bell, do all that other YouTube-y type of shit, and I will catch you guys next time.